Alright guys, so what's going on? So, we just got back from seeing the latest Marvel movie, which is Spiredr Man Homecoming. So, just to let you guys know, I am actually a really huge Spider-Man fan. Alright, growing up, I would always read Iron Man and Spider-Man. My favorite was actually Iron Man. Iron Man, I always thought it was a really cool concept, but it's the billionaire building a suit and everything. Well, I really liked Spider-Man too. Spider-Man was, what I really enjoyed about Spider-Man was that Spider-Man was the hero that I could relate to the most. In fact, my first job, my manager really reminded me of J. Jonah Jameson so much. He really reminded me of him. And just other things just in general, I was also bullied in school, a lot. I was bullied in school because I was, believe it or not, I used to be, really tiny, really scrawny. And just things would just relate to Peter Parker. And especially, when it actually started advancing, and all of a sudden we see Flash Thompson, who was Peter Parker's big bully, all of a sudden he becomes his friend, and it actually happened to some of my bullies. They actually became my friends and everything. Spider-Man was one of the comic book characters that I could just relate to the most, and I always had this special connection to this character. So of course, whenever they make a Spider-Man movie, I am always excited for it, and this year, I was more excited for Spider-Man Homecoming than I was for Guardians or Wonder Woman and everything. And this movie does not disappoint, which was fantastic. So, obviously, the first Spider-Man movie came out in 2002. This is our third incarnation of Spider-Man within 15 years. That means, if you divide it up, that means every 5 years, we'd just have a new actor for Spider-Man and everything. And I know a lot of people, including myself, were worried that, oh gosh, we're going to get the same retelling of the same origin story. Thank God that does not happen in this movie. What is actually really great about this movie is that he is already Spider-Man. They briefly talk about the spider bite. They don't go too much into it. There's no mention of Uncle Ben. It's him, he's already Spider-Man. We already saw him in Civil War, so we see that he has the powers and everything. In the beginning, we see Adrian Toomes, we see that he's cleaning up from the Avengers finale with the Chitauri and everything, and he's actually stealing the Chitauri weapons. And then after that, we see that it says 8 years later. I found that really odd, because the first Avengers movie came out in 2012. I don't know why they added another 3 years. I really thought that was just weird for them to do that. But that's that part. Now, I will say, so far every Marvel movie that's been coming out recently, and actually not just recently, not just Marvel, but Disney in general, they've been doing oh, here's a past sequence, or even here's a actor who's not alive anymore, and they've been using computer-generated effects to make them younger, or in a Star Wars case, make them alive. And in this movie, we see Michael Keaton. He does look a little younger. I don't know if they did it through digital effects or if they did it through makeup, but not so much, because it is 8 years and he is an adult. But there is some subtle differences in there, especially when he gets into the present day, and then we see him, he has aged just a little bit, not so much, it's nothing radical in Civil War or recently Guardians, but we do see some subtle touches. Now, after they do the whole Adrian Toomes part, because that whole part where they have the Avengers Tower, Adrian Toomes and everything, then is when they get to the Marvel logo. And when we get to the Marvel logo, that's where we get our first really cool Spider-Man Easter egg, and that is when they are playing the logo song, they are actually playing the music to the beat of the original Spider-Man theme song from the 60s, and I'm in the theater, and I'm going, Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Oh my God, that really made me happy, and that really kind of set the tone for this movie. That, you know, this is a Spider-Man movie, and like it kind of sets you up to let you know that there are going to be more Spider-Man Easter eggs, and there are just a plethora of them, and I could not be happier. So we get like references to a lot of Spider-Man characters from the comic books and other media, cartoon and everything. They are, some of them are just like little subtle hints, and then some of them are like straight in your face, like, you know, you can't miss it. At one point I got like really excited, and of course, like, jam-packed theater, no empty seats in our theater. We get to a point where they're like, the bad guys are on a ship, and they mention one of the characters by name, and that name is actually the name of a Spider-Man villain. Like, you know, it's like his actual like alter ego of the Spider-Man villain, and I was like, oh, that's so cool and everything. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, like they added him in there, and then we get a close up on his tattoo, and the tattoo actually shows the animal that character actually becomes, like in the comics. And I was like cheering. I was like, yeah. And then I looked around, and I was the only one who was cheering, because either I was the only nerd, or I was probably the only one who actually really cared. I thought that was like really clever. And there's some other like just really clever references in there and everything. And actually, towards the end, in one of the climactic scenes, we see one of the classic scenes from the comics where Spider-Man has all the rubble like straight on top of him, and the water is pouring like right like down from there, where he feels like he has no strength to pick it up, and then, like, you know, he eventually does like gets the strength to actually get out of the rubble, and it looks like it is straight lifted from the comic book panels. I was so happy to see that, and that was another like subtle little nod that I was actually to the comics I was really happy about. Now, some of them are really, I will say most of them I really liked, but then there's one I really did not like, and it's funny because my theater, like a lot of people were cheering for this one, so obviously I'm a minority about this. But at the end, we actually get another comic book character reveal of a very popular character that a lot of people know and recognize just from like the cartoons and other movies, and I actually didn't like it. To me, it really felt forced, and it really reminded me of the end of Dark Knight, and how like they revealed that, like they revealed a character in Dark Knight the same similar way how they revealed this character in Spider-Man. If you guys see the movie, you guys will understand what I mean completely. For the characters, so for Peter Parker's love interest, we've had, like, you know, throughout the years, Peter Parker has a lot of love interests. This movie, they actually choose Liz Allen. And if you guys don't know, in the comics, Liz Allen was the character that Peter Parker first falls in love with, but she never returned the favor to him, and like she was always the popular girl that the nerdy kid could never get. Now in this movie, it's very different. So first, like, Liz actually kind of likes him, which is kind of cool. I understand why they did that. Also, the other thing is, and I believe, I could be wrong, you guys can, like, correct me on this. A lot of people love correcting me whenever I'm wrong. It's just habit. But I believe they said in this movie that the high school they go to is a magnet high school, and that like it's for the high academic students. So in here, instead of like Liz being like the cheerleader, the very popular, like, stereotypical hot girl, she's actually like a actual really high academic character. Not only she is a very high academic character, so is Flash Thompson. And Flash is actually like, he's actually Indian, actually. In fact, Liz as African American, like, they just they're just like really going colorblind on these characters, and just like just casting on who they want to cast. Like with Flash changes a lot. Flash in the comics was more of a buffoon, very, very, like, really a bully. He was the jock character. Here, he's also academically inclined. He's still the show-off, but he still antagonizes Peter, but he doesn't, like, you don't see him trying to beat up Peter Parker or anything like that. He's constantly just, like, putting him down and just trying to prove that he's better than Peter Parker. This movie also introduces another character, and his name is Ned. Now, they never said in the movie, I could be wrong, I did not hear, I've been waiting to hear what his last name is. Because the only other Ned in Spider-Man comics is Ned Leeds, and he was actually a reporter who was in love with Betty Brant in the comics, and he eventually got framed for being Green Goblin. And here, this Ned, like I said, we don't get his last name, so it could be Leeds or it could be someone else, but he's definitely not that character. He's actually a really welcome addition. So he finds out that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and like he actually begs Peter to be like the computer guy, which I actually really like, because like, most like superhero TV shows and movies and that kind of stuff, they always have that computer person who's like, that like Oracle for Batman and that kind of stuff, or even recently Felicity for Arrow. So he wants to be that for Spider-Man, and it's actually like really he actually like most of his scenes are very comedic.
What was that?
You're the Spider-Man from YouTube.
He is a really lovable character. He's a really welcomed addition to Spider-Man, because most of the time with Spider-Man, his identity gets either revealed to his love interest or to his eventual enemy, and it's actually like refreshing that this is a brand new character who learns who he is. His suit, he has that classic red and blue suit that we're all familiar with, but the suit aesthetics is actually more that Iron Spider-Man suit that we've seen in the comics, and we actually seen in the cartoon show Ultimate Spider-Man as well, where like he actually has a voice AI into the suit.
You have 576 possible web shooter combinations.
Who actually he calls her Karen. We see like he even has a HUD display and everything. And plus, like, all these cool special powers that he got. And obviously, if you guys saw Civil War, you saw, like, Iron Man is involved with his suit. The suit is actually really cool. So kind of it's a nice little change. It's a new version for a familiar character. And he still has his spider powers and everything. I would like to see in future, in future movies, that like maybe he goes back into more of his classic suit, where he doesn't have like the computer like powers and that kind of stuff. That would actually be pretty cool. But like But the suit was actually really cool to see, and I actually really liked some of like the new powers he gets. Like one of them, he like his spider has like a little drone that flies around for him, which actually was like a really cool thing. So as I mentioned, his suit came from Iron Man. Like now, if you've seen the trailers and the movie poster, like you see that Robert Downey Jr. is like in there a lot. Thankfully, in the movie, he's actually not in there so much. His scenes in the movie is very impactful and it's very important for plot reasons, but he doesn't take away. He's not stealing the show from Spider-Man. This is Spider-Man's movie, and I actually really appreciate that. In fact, Happy Hogan, who's still played by Jon Favreau, surprisingly, he is actually in there more than Robert Downey Jr. is in the movie, which I really liked, and I was really worried coming in that it would be as much as I'm a big Iron Man fan. I was really worried that they were gonna make this more of a Iron Man movie, like featuring Spider-Man, but it is a Spider-Man movie, like special guest star Iron Man. And now the nerd in me, I couldn't be happier to actually see a movie with both Iron Man and Spider-Man in it. Like this to me, that's a dream come true, and I actually really like the way it plays out. Now Iron Man, new movie, new suit, like, you gotta sell a new toy. Surprisingly, they have not seen a mark, whatever, this is probably mark 100 by now for Iron Man for this one, but his suit in here looks a lot like his suit from the Ultimate Iron Man comic book series, which I really liked, and it works really well. It's like just that blend of the Ultimate comic style with the movie Iron Man style, and it works out like really well. I really like the way it looks and everything. Another thing I was kind of like, I was like not a huge fan of. It didn't bother me too much, like the character reveal at the end, but Aunt May in this movie, if you guys saw Civil War, you already saw her. I already forgot what her actress's name is. She returns as Aunt May. She's a lot younger than most of the Aunt Mays that, like, from the other from the comic books and the movies and everything. They joke around a lot in this movie how like everyone thinks she's hot, and that she has like that whole flirty feel. It doesn't ruin the movie for me, but it is like a huge kind of like takeaway. It's something I'm just getting used to, but it doesn't affect the movie overall. Now, something I do like about this movie, most comic book superhero movies that we've had, or superhero movies in general, it's always about like the character who has like the powers always like feel like they have this like big burden because they are a superhero and they have to protect everyone, and like it's almost like they just don't like their job and they just don't like doing it anymore. Spider-Man, Peter Parker, complete opposite of that. He is so energetic. He wants to be an Avenger. It's almost like the Spider-Man from the Ultimate Spider-Man cartoon series, where he wants to be Avenger. He's calling, like, as soon as school ends, he rushes out, he just tries to find bad guys to stop. He gets excited when there's people to fight, and it's actually really, and that's what I actually really like. They were really true to the Spider-Man character, and they kept them fun, they kept them funny, energetic. Tom Holland is a very believable teenager who has superpowers, who is really having fun with it, and I actually really enjoyed that. That was probably the best part about Spider-Man, and actually that's what made this movie, I like this movie better than Guardians and Wonder Woman. I thought that's just the energy that they brought into it was really great and just really fun. It made me want to, I could not wait for the next scene and the next scene and the next scene. And I will say, the conclusion when he fights with the Vulture and what happens to the Vulture after that, is great. I really enjoyed the outcome from that, just because it wasn't the stale outcome from most other superhero movies. I'm not going to ruin it for you guys, but it's really great. I really like that. Now, as for the Vulture, Michael Keaton, who was it's funny because he played as Batman before in the late 80s, early 90s, and from like two of my favorite Batman movies of like he plays as the Vulture, and he doesn't really call himself the Vulture. But we actually, towards the end, we actually see that like he gets labeled as Vulture, but he doesn't actually do that. But his design is actually really cool because like his helmet is kind of like this. It kind of looks like a beak and everything when he puts it down, and then like he has this Air Force bomber jacket, and with that it has like that like fur kind of thing. I don't know why those jackets have it, but they just do, and it substitute as the feathers, and it actually looks like a really cool design, and it's something practical and not something like ridiculously realistic looking like the Green Goblin costume from the original Spider-Man movie. It looks like something that someone who's like flying this thing would actually wear. Is really practical, which I really like that. And his wings are actually like really cool. They animate the wings really nice. When they announced that there was going to be a new Spider-Man movie, I was worried it was going to get stale and that we were just going to get a rehash of the same thing that we've seen in the previous 4 movies. And I am so happy that this movie is a breath of fresh air. This is probably one of my favorite Spider-Man movies, one of my favorite superhero movies. I mean, definitely my favorite movie so far in 2017. This movie was great. I can't wait to see him in the next movie. I think he's going to be in Avengers Infinity War. And I'm really hoping that they will make a Spider-Man Homecoming 2 or Spider-Man Prom or whatever the next title of Spider-Man. Hopefully it will come out and it will be just as fantastic as this. Let me know down in the comments below if you saw this movie or if you're going to go see this movie, and let me know if you're excited about it. Let me know what are your favorite things about Spider-Man. Till next time, guys. Alright, we'll see ya.